Fallout of the latest dump of documents from WikiLeaks is creating more questions than answers. U.S. officials are looking into whether they can charge WikiLeaks editor-in-chief Julian Assange under espionage laws. And earlier this evening, the international police organization Interpol issued what's known as a red notice for the arrest of Assange. That's in connection to a sex crimes investigation in Sweden. Assange also spoke out today, but not on the Swedish investigation. Instead, during an interview with Time magazine, he suggested that this leak could lead to Hillary Clinton's resignation as Secretary of State.
She should resign if it can be shown that she was responsible for ordering U.S. Diplomatic figures to engage in espionage activities at the United Nations in violation of the international covenants to which the US has signed up. Yes, she should resign over there.
So, has the Secretary of State crossed the line between diplomacy and espionage, and should she step down? Joining me now is the Washington Bureau Chief for Mother Jones Magazine and columnist for PoliticsDaily.com, David Corn. David, thanks for joining me tonight. You've taken on this question today in Politics Daily. How did you come down on it? Should Hillary Clinton resign?
Well, I don't think she's going to begin with. I think it's a moot point. But I do think what's serious, and it's the point that Julian Assange, is basing his claim on, or his call for her resignation, is the blurring of the lines between diplomats and spies. We've seen in the WikiLeaks document dump, in fact, these dominated the headlines, documents showing that the State Department has tasked diplomats, not spies, to gather private and personal information on African leaders, on diplomats, other foreign country diplomats, and UN officials, really sort of crossing a line. It's sometimes a blurry line from intelligence, from diplomatic information gathering to snooping and spying. Now, when documents and orders go out from Foggy Bottom, the State Department, to the field, they're always signed, usually signed, by the Secretary of State, whoever she may be. And so Hillary Clinton's name was on these orders. Now, it doesn't mean she was aware of this. It doesn't mean that she condoned it. And it was a process that started years ago, not on her watch. Condoleezza Rice, sent out the same orders in the same manner. But it seems to me that there really is at least a cause for a very serious grilling of Hillary Clinton and of other top State Department officials about what's happened to the role of foreign service officers overseas. So I doubt it's going to lead to the resignation. Even Julian Assange, who is somewhat of a bomb thrower on this and other fronts, said if it could be proven that she herself gave the orders. Actually, this predates her tenure there. She didn't originate this program, but as the person in charge of the State Department, I'd like to see her come up on Capitol Hill and answer some questions about this.
Now, you point out in your piece that it's not in our political culture anymore, if it ever was, for people to resign as a matter of honor, meaning they've been found in dishonorable circumstances, or they've crossed a line, or that what happens in our system now is that people get into a defensive crouch and fight it out, whereas in other countries in these situations, it is still the norm when found to be exposed in an uncomfortable way like this, that a secretary would resign so that someone else could come in with clean hands and take over. Is this really the new culture of Washington that says no matter what shows up above your signature, you hang in there? Or is it this gigantic dump? There's so many documents that come out that something like Hillary Clinton's particular role in it seems smaller than it might if the dump was more selective.
I think that's exactly right. That is a point that I've made and other reporters have made. I mean, if the story about the diplomats spying on other diplomats had come out on its own, I think it would have dominated the front pages for a couple of days. But it was competing with so much else in the WikiLeaks dump. I'll give you another good example. This came out yesterday. They're releasing cables every day, and of the 251,000 cables they have, they've put out, I don't know, 250 cables only so far, so there's a lot more to go. But there was a cable that came out last night out of our embassy in Kabul, in Afghanistan, noting that President Hamid Karzai there had intervened in numerous cases to either pardon drug traffickers or to prevent their prosecution in Afghanistan. Now, that in itself should be somewhat of a big scandal for us, but you know, all I found so far was a small AP story that came out sometime this morning. So again, that could have been a big deal. So Hillary Clinton and anybody else who's involved with any of these sort of more inconvenient acts described by these cables will have a certain amount of protection, because there's such a fire hose of information coming out at this point. But, you know, you ask if this is the new Washington culture of hanging in and not resigning. I mean, I don't think there's anything new about this. It's been going on for a long time. We never found WMDs in Iraq. Did anyone in the Bush-Cheney administration resign over that? No.
David Korn of Mother Jones, thank you for your time tonight, David.
Thanks, Lawrence.